It's a tough job deciding what act of bravery deserves Australia's highest military honour, the Victoria Cross. A tribunal is tussling with whether to award posthumous VCs to 13 men, including 3 who served on the HMAS Yarra in World War II. Cheryl Hall reports.
Oh, hear us when we cry to thee.
It's taken 70 years for HMAS Yarra to get the recognition many believe is overdue. This memorial was opened at Newport last month.
On the 4th of March, early morning, everybody's getting up, and next minute on the horizon they could see the masts of a Japanese convoy. So the alarm bells rang into battle stations.
Gary Taylor is the great-nephew of one of 3 men from the Yarra who've been recently nominated for the country's highest bravery award. The Yarra was escorting a convoy of 3 ships back to Australia just weeks after the fall of Singapore in 1942. Pursued by 3 superior Japanese cruisers, the Yarra's Lieutenant Commander Robert Rankin made the fatal decision to turn his ship back towards the Japanese.
Well, he didn't really have many options because they were outsped, outgunned, they couldn't have run away.
I think that it was his duty. Lieutenant Commander Rankin made the decision that he would place himself between the enemy force and the convoy. I think at that point, all of those in Yarra must have known that, the overwhelmingly the odds were against them. So you've now got a situation where Yarra, it's a real David and Goliath situation, and it was one that Yarra was never going to win.
Gary Taylor's great-uncle was leading seaman Ronald Taylor, known as Buck.
The 2 destroyers were just circling the Yarra, just pounding with shells, and Ron told his crew, abandoned ship, the order's been abandoned ship, and he stayed. He said, no, I'm not going, I'm staying. And he stayed there at his mount. The stern was sinking, listing to port, and he's still firing at the gun, and that's how he went down with the ship.
It's a story told 70 years ago to Reg Matthews by some of the 13 survivors. Mr Matthews was taken off the Yarra just 2 weeks before it went down.
I knew practically every soul on board the ship, and it was quite a shock to me to realise so many people had gone down. As conveyed to me by several people, Buck Taylor was the captain of the gun. I think it was A gun. That's the forward one, right up forward. He was still firing as the ship was sinking.
Angus Walsh served on a sister ship, the Warrego, and says because of wartime censorship, little was known about the actions of people like Ron Taylor.
He gave the supreme sacrifice. He gave every ounce of his being.
The Honours and Awards Tribunal has a difficult task. The RSL says there are no witnesses now and it doesn't support the review unless new evidence can be presented. But if Ron Taylor, Robert Rankin or the Yarra's second-in-command, Francis Smith, are awarded a VC, it will be the first one for the Navy. Navy historian John Perryman says it's important to remember the actions of all those on board the Yarra.
Certainly Ron Taylor was seen to be the last man standing, and that is an absolute testament, to his courage. But, Ron Taylor was just one of those people who manned the guns in that ship. I think often the collective bravery of the ship is sometimes overlooked.
But for the families, it's more personal.
Ron's never been recognised, point number 1. And we would just like to get some form of recognition because he's never received any. And the other part of it is that it's not just for Ron, it's for the crew of the HMAS Yarra who are never mentioned. Whenever you talk about the annals of Australian history of war, there's never ever one mention of the Yarra or what the Yarra did for their country.